Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen, amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. قال الله تعالى في القرآن وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم صدق الله العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Please recite durud upon the Prophet. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim salatan wa salaman ala Rasulillah. So the ayah I got a chance to recite was from Surah Baqarah. The ayah number is 31 and 32. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Allah taught Hazrat Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam the names of everything. Now, we all know the story of how Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam was created. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, then He told all the angels to bow down. And everybody did bow down except for Iblis. And then he was rejected from the court of Allah. We know the story, right? But what happened before this when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels that I'm going to create humans on the land, on the earth? So they said that, Ya Allah, what is your wisdom behind creating humans on the land? Why are you creating these people? Because they're going to cause chaos in the land. They're going to shed blood. They're going to cause corruptions. What is your hikmah? What is your wisdom behind, what is your wisdom behind creating these humans? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I know what you don't know. And then He said, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. That we taught, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah taught Hazrat Adam alayhi salam the names of everything. ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Then He presented all of these things to the malaika. And He said, أَنبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. That tell me the names of these things if you're truthful. Like if you know, then tell me the names of these things. Look at the reply of the angels. The angels said, سُبْحَانَكَ لَا عِلْمَ لَنَا إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمْتَنَا. Ya Allah, we don't have any knowledge. Glory be to you. We don't have any knowledge except for what you gave us. Meaning that we don't know. We only know whatever you gave us. And this is a great example for us too, that think about it, when we know something, just because if we get a little bit of knowledge, we become so prideful that, okay, I know so much. But like, look at what the angels are saying, that Subhanaka la ilma lana. Glory be to you. You're exalted, Ya Allah. There is no ilm for us except for what you have given us. You gave ilm to Adam and you gave ilm to us, but obviously Adam has more ilm than the angels. That's what the angels were saying. So we know that ilm was given to Adam alayhi salam, and this was something that caused that indicates that Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, or any prophet, is greater than the angels. That is one mazhab, there's one call, there's one belief, opinion of some ulama, that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was greater than all the angels just because of this thing, knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him ilm, and that is what caused him the status over the angels. So ilm got passed down generations after generations, and we see today ilm is so common because, you know, they say the world is a global village now. You hear this term so much, the world is a global village. You can go up on the internet and find anything you want, you know, write, you know, psychology.pdf, and you have a psychology book, a PDF, and you can read whatever you want about psychology. But just because you read something, does that make you an expert in the field? Because anything you learn, you're just gonna, every time you learn something, you're gonna start from the basics. And we know there's so many branches of knowledge, right? There's technology, there's biology, physics, chemistry, psychology, law, etc. The college students know this, people who go to college. But even when you go to college, right, you take a bio class, right? So you don't go up to, like, you know, the highest level of that knowledge. You enroll in Bio 1301 or whatever it's called. So that's the introduction to biology, biology 1, or any subject, right? So you learn from the basics. But just because you know a little bit, you can't say that I'm a doctor now, or if you learn a little bit of technology, you can't say I'm a programmer now. If you learn a little bit of law, you can't say I'm a lawyer now. Right? There is rules of everything. There's steps, and there is like expertise of people in their respective fields. So like a person who is a biologist, who is a doctor, he has expertise in biology, right? And a person who's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, he has like expertise in his own field. So people have expertise in their respective fields. Now, you can't say that, okay, some person who knows a little bit, he has expertise, like some psychologist or some psychiatrist, he knows a little bit of technology, so he's a programmer now. You can't say that because everyone has expertise in their level of expertise in their respective fields. So depending on the situation, not everyone can reach that level of expertise. And you can't, like, it's really rare that you see that someone is expert in more than one field. Like, I know there's something called biotechnology now. There's a hybrid of biology and technology. Yes, but that's rare. Like, how many times do you see someone that says, "Oh, I'm a master's in like biotechnology"? That's pretty rare, but obviously it happens. But even us, like, go down in like layman terms, like people like us, normal people, not like some super smart people who go for biotechnology. Like normal people like us, right? You and I, we know some home remedies. This is an example. Like, we know some home remedies, like if someone has a sore throat, right? Our grandma, like our grandparents, they tell us these remedies that if you have a sore throat, make a ginger tea, put some honey in it, and then drink it, and then your sore throat is gone. And then like you see people telling this to other people. You see them passing it on. But does that mean you've become a doctor just because you know how to get rid of sore throat by home remedies, right? Does that qualify you to be a doctor? It doesn't, because obviously a doctor, someone who has like years and years of experience, someone who has a degree, someone who has like spent his life in this field, that versus you, like you just know some little bit of cure for sore throat. And we know that doctors, whenever they give a medicine, it's not guaranteed to work. Sometimes it fails. Sometimes you need to go back for a checkup, and then you need to ask, okay, your medicine didn't work. Why did it not work? Now I need a new medicine. And then opposed to that, like there's someone who like drinks a ginger tea and then his sore throat is gone. Does that mean you're more qualified than a doctor? Obviously not, right? People work hard to become a doctor, and we have our brother Ali Ishaq over here. You can ask him how hard is it to become a doctor. If it was so easy to just ask your grandma about some remedies and then like apply it to people, then he would be the first one to go and ask his grandma what recipe to take, and then I can cure people. But as I said, that people have expertise in their field. You can't just become expert just right away by knowing some basics. So that brings us to, keeping all of this in mind, that brings us to our topic for today, Taqleed, right? What, why, and how. What is Taqleed? Why to do Taqleed, and how is it supposed to be done? So there is a Islamic scholar from India from the 17th century. His name is Shaykh Ahmad Siddiqui. People called him Mullah Jibun. And they said that he was the teacher of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb Alamgir. He was the teacher of Aurangzeb Alamgir, and even Aurangzeb's kids, they used to respect him. And what happened was, Aurangzeb Alamgir, he has a great service to the Islamic society, Islamic community, that he gathered a group of 500 ulama, 500 scholars from India and outside. 300 were from India almost, and around 200 were from outer than India. And he gathered all of them, and he asked them to write a fatwa book, like a compilation of fatwa, so that people can refer to it. And like, because 500 ulama, when they give when they write fatwas like that, that there's a consensus. That this book is legit, this book is authentic. So those people, they made a 9-volume book, I think, called Fatawa Alamgiri. They named it after the king. It's also called Fatawa Hindi because it's based in India. Even today, the scholars refer back to this book from the 17th century to give fatwas. So this book is widely used in our society. So that was the King Aurangzeb, whose teacher was Mullah Jivan. His name was Ahmad Siddiq, and Siddiqui because he was from the family of Sayyidina Siddiq Akbar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So he was an Indian-based scholar, and he wrote many books. Along with that, he wrote a tafsir. And his tafsir is really important because that's what I want to mention today, that what did he write in his tafsir. And he basically mentions a process. He lays out a diagram, a chart, of why would you follow someone, why would you do taqleed. I wish I had a pictorial to show you all because that's how good it is. But I guess I'll just use my words now because I didn't create a pictorial. So he says that a Muslim can only have two situations. A Muslim, since Muslims are humans, we have two situations that we can have. Either he is going to be involved in the worldly affairs in the society, he's going to do some actions, or he's not. Right? So these are the two cases. There's no way out. These are the only two cases. Either he's going to act in the society, or he's not. Right? And obviously, you cannot not act in the society. You have to do something, right? You can't just tie yourself up in your home. You have to do something. You have to be active. You have to go out and work. You have to talk to people. You have to buy and sell stuff. You have to go to work. So you have to do something, right? Now, when you do something, right, you have to know you either need Quran and Sunnah to guide you there to what is right and what is wrong, right? Since you're doing something, you need Quran and Sunnah. Either you're going to need Quran and Sunnah or you don't, right? And since you're Muslims, we all know that we need Quran and Sunnah as our guides to tell us what is right and what is wrong. Now, since it's established that we need Quran and Sunnah as our guides to tell us what's right and what's wrong, now again, there are two situations. Either a person will have enough capability, enough ability, enough skills that he knows all the ayahs of the Quran, along with their backgrounds, all the Sahih Hadith, along with the narrations, along with the strength of narrations, the strength of the chain, and he knows the background. Why was this Hadith narrated? And also he knows the ayah. Why was this ayah revealed? He knows Arabic language. He knows how to apply it. He knows all the applications. And there's a lot of skills too, more than that. So if this person knows this, if this person has the ability, then he is a mujtahid. And if not, if you don't have this ability, then what are you going to do? If you don't know the shan-e-nuzul, as they say, why was this ayah revealed, or why was this hadith said, then what are you going to do? How are you going to act? So the only option you have left is follow the mujtahid, a person who knows, a person who can apply. He knows why this ayah was revealed. He knows all the ahadith that are there. Because like if you look, you're going to look at one, but you're going to miss the other. And sometimes you're going to feel that there is a contradiction, but the mujtahid will know that there is no contradiction. This is all in your head. This is lack of your intellect, that you can't apply both at the same time. So that is why you need a mujtahid. And that is what he says, that since you need Quran and Sunnah as your guide, Mullah Jivan said this, Quran and Sunnah, you need it as your guide. So it's important for you to follow, to whatever you do, it's important to implement those rules in your life, in your society, in everyday life, whatever you do, you need Quran and Sunnah, right? And how will you do it? Because obviously most of us, and in today's day, none of us, no person, no human, can have enough ability that he can know each and every single ayah, each and every single hadith. He knows all the Arabic rules, he knows all the eloquence, all the balaghat rules. There is no way everybody can know this, right? So it is important for us to follow a mujtahid, an imam. Since he has enough ability to look at Quran, to look at hadith and extract the masail, then he has to look at the mujtahid. He doesn't have to follow anyone. He can extract the masail on his own. And the person who's not a mujtahid, he has to follow him since he is an expert in the field. And think about it like in everyday society, in our everyday life, we know that, for example, there's a lawyer, right? People go to the lawyer and they ask for they present their problem. They're like, okay, how do we fix this? And then there's different levels of lawyers. There's one lawyer that, he's the man. He's like up there. He's the expert in his field. He's 50 years experience. He has written so many books, so many research papers. People love him, right? You know those kind of people, that kind of lawyer, right? And then there's like, newbies, like someone who just started as a lawyer. And then there are random people who read the law section on the news or hang out with, junior lawyers, and then they get to know a little bit about the law, right? So this person who learns a little bit about the law, or he hangs out with his lawyer friends who tell him a little bit about the law and stuff, can he ever say that I'm equal to the one who has the highest position in the law in this field? You can't say that, because even if you know a little bit, you can't just compete to someone who's a pro, right? People who play video games, that in video games there's like a newbie and then there's a pro. A noob cannot even like go near someone who's a pro. You can't say, oh well, we play the same game, so I know what to do. I know how it works. I know the rules. I know the techniques. So you can't say I'm a pro too. But we're equal. A pro and a rookie cannot be equal. So he can relate that he knows what he knows what I'm talking about. So someone like us, right? We just know a few things about Islam. We barely know any ahadith. We barely know any surahs. We don't know the shan-e-nuzul, why every surah was revealed, why. We don't know the tafsir of the surahs. So someone like us, we can never get to that level. Even if we want to get there, then it will take us years, like decades, to get there, to learn all the ulum, all the sciences, and then apply, then extract the masail from the Quran and Sunnah. So that is really hard for us. It was relatively easy if someone wanted to try it in those times, because those times when the mujtahideen were the imams, they were rising up. That time was closer to the Prophet ﷺ. That time was at the time of Sahaba and the Tabi'un. So if someone is closer to the Sahaba, if someone's hanging out with the Sahaba are the best way to get to the Quran and Sunnah. You know that the Sahaba knew how the Prophet ﷺ used to act. So you can refer back to him if you don't understand something from the Quran. So that is at that time. But today, we don't have Sahaba right now with us, apparently, so we can't refer back to anybody. If you want to refer back to someone, you're going to refer back to like some scholar or someone. But what is the guarantee that that scholar knows each and every single aspect of the Quran and Hadith? You can't tell, because it's almost impossible these days that you can know each and everything that is in the deen, that is in the Quran. So that is a mujtahid, that is an imam that knows each and every aspect of the Quran. He has done his research, and he, as I said, he was with the Sahaba or the Tabi'un, and the Tabi'un are the people who were with the Sahaba. So they have seen the Sahabi, and the Sahabi is someone who has been with the Prophet ﷺ. So they were closer to that time of Rasulullah ﷺ. That is the main source of the deen, right? So that was the example that I wanted to give you, that mujtahid is someone who has all the research, and he can apply, and he can extract the masail from the Quran and Sunnah. Now that brings up the question that what is taqleed then? How are we supposed to do taqleed? So Imam Ghazali, he defines taqleed. He says, "At-taqleedu huwa qabulu qawlin bila hujjatihi." Taqleed is to accept a saying without asking for proof. Meaning, not without asking for proof. Doesn't mean like you blindly follow him. You consider him that, okay, this person that I'm doing taqleed for, I'm a muqallid of this person. You know that this person has done enough research. And as I said, that his time was closer to the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So you know that he's an expert. Not looking at the dalil, not looking at the proof, means that you're not going to ask for proof. But obviously, if you want to look deeper, if you want to get more knowledge, then obviously he has all his research on paper. You can go and look, and you can tell how is he applying this masla on this, how is he applying this proof on this masla, and how is he saying whatever he's saying. So that is the thing. The job of the follower is not to go and dig deep in the proof. Why? Because we don't know each and every single aspect there is. You're going to look at one hadith, but you're going to ignore the other hadiths, and maybe you need to do something to match them up. Sometimes it feels like there's a contradiction, as I said, and that is the job of a mujtahid. That what he can do is he can tell you that how these two hadiths are not contradicting. They're actually like aligning by them. They're parallel to each other. They're like interlacing or something like that, right? And now, as I said, the example again of the doctor or the lawyer, you go to him and then like he's an expert and you can't compete with him. You can't say, okay, well, I can go and like, start consulting people for their law problems and I can give them suggestions. You can't do that, obviously, just because you know one or two things. But one more thing that I was thinking about, that when people go to a doctor and they tell him that, okay, I have this and this problem, I'm having these symptoms, what is the problem, what is the disease, what is the infection? He checks you up and then he tells you, okay, this is the problem, I think this is the infection you have, or this is the disease you have. People don't go and ask him that, what is the proof? Show this to me from a medical book, or show this to me from a research paper. How can you say that this is the problem I'm facing? How can you say that this is the disease I'm suffering with? Nobody asks that question. Even like sometimes you need to go for a scan, CT scan or MRI scan or ultrasound or whatever, right? In those, like, they give you images. They have images and then like there's a picture in the middle that, okay, the doctor tells you, okay, this is a problem. This picture shouldn't be like this, it should be the other way or something like that. And people, the patients, they're just sitting there like, okay, what is he trying to say? I have no idea what he's saying, because obviously you're not expert enough in the field. You're not educated enough in the field. So you just look at the report, you're like, okay, if you say so, like, if he's saying it has to be right. Nobody even like asks that, okay, what if he's lying? Nobody even thinks about it. Okay, what if it's a mistake? Think about it, guys. The doctor is someone who has your life in his control. Like, he is the one that's going to dictate your life now. One mistake on his part and like the patient can die, like right there. If he gives you wrong medicine or something, it can worsen your situation. Sometimes the medicine can make you drowsy. Sometimes the medicine can make you cranky. Like, he dictates how you're going to live the rest of your life, basically. And nobody even thinks about it that, okay, what if this guy is lying? They just take his word for it. They're like, okay, yeah, you have enough research, you have enough expertise, so I'm just going to believe you. I'm just going to take your word for it, and I'll just like live my life the way you tell me to. But we see today that people love their life more than they love their religion, and this is the universal truth. You can like, I don't have to prove it. This is like a universal truth. Everybody knows this. People these days, they love their life more than they love their religion. And still, the thing you love more, you don't care about it. You're just like handing it over to a doctor. But when it comes to the deen, right, which you don't even love as much as your life, then you're trying to find criticisms that, okay, why follow this guy? Why follow him? Why follow so and so saying of some imam, right? So that's something that we have to think about now. Anyways, moving on. Now, a very important thing to talk about is to clear up some doubts that people can come up and say, well, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Hadith are filled with knowledge. We know what is there in the Quran. We know what is there in Hadith. We have books. We know what the Hadith say. We know what Allah says in the Quran. We have tafsir books. We have everything. Then why do you need to go to someone who's going to say something, and you're obliged to follow him? Like, why would you do that? Okay, everything is clear. Then why follow an imam? So the answer is this: that the rulings are three types. There are three types of rulings. Number one, the ruling is that it deals with aqidah. It deals with the belief system. Okay? Number two, the second type of ruling is something that is mentioned in the Quran explicitly. Explicitly, like it's so clear that anybody can understand it. And the third thing is that it's not mentioned, it's mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah, but it's not explicit, it's implicit. So you have to dig a little bit deeper. You have to do some research before you understand the true meaning of those Quran or Hadith, or those ayah or the ahadith. Right? So that's the third type. The first type was what? Aqidah. First type was the belief system. So let's talk about aqaid. What is aqaid? Aqaid is your belief system, right? It doesn't have to do with amal. It doesn't have to do with any action. It's just your belief system. It's just dealing with your insides, right? So aqidah, for example, like Allah is one. Allah is wahid. Wahdahu la sharika lah. There is no partners for Allah. You do not need to do any taqleed for this masala. You don't need to do any taqleed for this ruling because it's obvious. Quran says, "Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad." That Allah is singular. There is no partners for Allah. He doesn't born anybody. He's not born from anybody, nor anybody's born from him. And you know the translation Surah Ikhlas, right? So you know Qul huwa Allahu ahad, that Allah is one. So if we're not following any Imam when he says Allah is one, we're not doing taqleed, we're not like, okay, I'm not going to ask for proof that why is Allah one. Obviously, like he's going to tell you that, okay, look, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. You're believing that Allah is one because of Qul huwa Allahu ahad, not because of the qawl of an Imam, right? Qawl of an Imam doesn't work over here in Aqidah. If he says something else, if he says Allah is not one, then obviously he's not even going to remain a Muslim because he's rejecting the Quran. So he's not even going to be a Mujtahid. So there is no ijtihad, there is no Imam, there is no taqleed in the aqaid. There is no taqleed in the aqaid. Remember this is very important because this is something people can ask you that why are you doing taqleed when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Qul huwa Allahu ahad and your Imam, your Mujtahid says, oh, believe Allah is one. You're not believing what the Imam is saying, you're believing what the Quran is saying. He's just like referring you back to the Quran, and that's how you believe that Allah is one. So that's very clear, right? Now the second part was something that's mentioned explicitly in the Quran. That's the second type of ruling. The first one was Aqidah. The second type is something that's mentioned in the Quran explicitly. For example, Salah is fard upon you, right? So that is very simple, very straightforward, very clear. You don't need any ijtihad, you don't need to dig any deeper. And then in the hadith it says there's 5 Salah, 5 times prayer. So that's fard upon you. That's the raka'at of the namaz. That there's 2 sunnahs and 2 fard in the fajr. There's 4 sunnah, 4 fard, 2 sunnah and 2 nafal in the zuhr salat. So stuff like this is very clear. You don't need to do any ijtihad, you don't need to do any research. You just know the hadith, you just know the ayah, and you can follow it. So if someone says that no, there's no 5 times prayer, there's 4 times prayer, again, he's not going to remain a mujtahid, he's not going to remain an imam. Nobody's going to believe him, nobody's going to even let him do any research because he's going against the norm. He's going against what's mentioned in the Quran and hadith. Right, so this is the second type. Now, the third type is that something that's not mentioned in the Quran and Hadith explicitly, it's implicit, right? It's implicit. So, for example, the implicit stuff, some examples of that is like, does blood nullify wudu? Like, if you start bleeding, would it nullify your wudu? Would touching a woman itself, like if you're just touching a woman, if you're just touching your wife or something, would that break your wudu? Right? That's the question. That you don't see explicit stuff in the Quran. Even if you think it's explicit, there is some other thing that says otherwise. There's some other hadith or there's some other ayah that goes against it. So you know that either the first one, that hukum is not there anymore, or it means something else. Then there's interpretation. So now you need to do more research, right? And who's going to do research? The Mujtahid is going to do research. We don't have enough ability. We don't have enough skills to do the research. Another thing is like eating is lobster. To eat lobster is a halal. Right? To eat a rabbit is a halal. So again, like Quran doesn't explicitly say yes or no. You have to do more research. You have to look at the qawl of Sahabi. You have to look at more ahadith, and you have to like understand the interpretation. You have to know the usage of the language to know what's what and how do we apply these ahkam. So you need to know each and every single ayah for this, and with the background. You need to know each and every single hadith with the background, the shan and nuzul, as I said. And again, I'm going to bring up the same point that people like us, we don't know each and every single ayah, each and every single hadith with their respective backgrounds. So we're stuck basically. Like if you don't know and there's no one to guide you, how are you going to get to your goal? How are you going to apply all those rulings to your life, right? And people like us, we're busy in our worldly life. People have work, people have families, they have to go like pay attention to. People have different types of affairs, their worldly affairs that they have to pay attention to. So it's almost impossible for us to go and learn each and every aspect of the deen and then apply it, right? Even if we start now, let's say someone comes up and says, okay, I'm going to be a mujtahid, let me start now, I'll learn each and every single aspect of the deen. It's going to take you decades. If you start now, it's going to take you decades because it's not something that you just learn like this. Like even like anything, if you want to become a doctor, it's going to take you at least 10 years or 15 years to become a doctor, then how can something like this, something like becoming a mujtahid, how can that be so easy? And even if someone starts now, it's going to be harder than those people that were mujtahid in the past, because they were from the 1st or 2nd century. They were closer to the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran in Surah Baqarah, "La yukallifu Allahu nafsan illa wus'aha." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden a soul more than its capacity. Right? So our capacity is not to go, like, even if we start now, like, as I said, it's going to take us decades. Let's say it takes you 30 years to become an expert in every single field. What about the time span that's in the middle? What about those 30 years? How are you going to act? Should I do this or should I not? Should I, should I eat the lobster or should I not eat the lobster, right? So this is something that you need to focus on. And if it takes 30 years to become an expert, then what are you going to do in the meantime, right? So it's important for us to go and learn from someone who's an expert in the field. Again, as I said, the example of the lawyer or doctor, you just take their word for it because you know that they have the research. Same thing with the mujtahid, you know that they have their research. They have sahabas to refer to. They have the tabi'een to refer to. They have other ulama that they can refer to. So you know that they're an expert in the field. So you ask them, and that is only because normal people, we don't know each and every aspect about the deen. Okay? Another ayah from the Quran says, "Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasula wa ulil amri minkum." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that obey Allah and obey the Rasul and the people of wisdom from you. Wa ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasula wa ulil amri minkum. Obey Allah. Mufassirin say, what does obey Allah mean? Obey Allah means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He explicitly mentioned that riba is haram. Interest, usury, is haram. So you have to follow that. Right? No questions asked. You're not going to do any research. Allah said, riba is haram. You just take it the way it is. Obeying the Rasul, what does it mean? Like in the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that the gold is haram for the Muslim men, right? You just take it the way it is. No more research needed. We're not going to say, oh, this much gold is haram or that much gold is haram. Gold, when he says gold is haram, gold is haram. We're not going to do any more research on this. Okay? And follow, then the last thing was, Ati'u Rasula wa ulil amri minkum. Ulul amr. Who are the ulul amr? People of wisdom, right? They are the mujtahid. Mufassirin say that these people, ulul amr, Allah means the mujtahid. That same thing for as I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, riba is haram, we take it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, gold is haram. So these two things, you're not going to do any ijtihad. But something like sadaqatul fitr, right? Sadaqatul fitr is wajib. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned in the hadith that sadaqatul fitr, you have to pay it on Eid al-Fitr after Ramadan, right? And we know the quantity, how much to pay. It's like wheat or dates or raisins, right? But the question can come that, do we pay these things the way it is? Like, do we pay the wheat or dates or raisins, or we can pay the money, the amount that comes equal to these things, right? This is a question. This is not in the hadith explicitly, nor in the Quran. Now what do? You do research, right? And as I said, people are not capable enough to do the research, so it is going to be a mujtahid who's going to do research. And depending on your imam, the imam you follow, either he's going to say, okay, yeah, you can pay the money, or he's going to say, no, since Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said pay wheat, then you have to pay wheat. You can't get a substitute for it, right? Another ayah from the Quran says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. So it's obvious Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the order, فَاسْأَلُوا, ask أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, the people of knowledge, إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And all of us are la ta'lamun. We don't know anything. We don't know the exact aspects of the deen. So we have to ask the ahl al-dhikr, the people of knowledge, right? Because obviously we don't know. Another ayah, and this is a very interesting ayah from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, He says, فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ وَلِيُنذِرُوا قَوْمَهُمْ إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَحْذَرُونَ. Why not from each population separate from them a group to attain the understanding of religion and warn their people when they come back, maybe then they will be cautious. So فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ. Why not a group from each and every population gets out to go and learn the deen, to go and get the understanding of the deen, right? And then when they come back, they're going to tell the people, they're going to warn the people, hoping that these people will be cautious in their affairs now. So he said, لِيُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, لِيَتَفَقَّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, right? That this group that goes out, what is the purpose of going out, of leaving this population? The purpose is only to learn the deen so that they can come back and tell the people. This is explicit. This is like clearly telling us that all of the people, they're not mukallaf, they're not burdened with knowing each and everything. There should be a group only a group from the entire population that goes out, then comes back, then learns the deen, then comes back, and then teaches it to other people. So all of them are obviously going to learn, are just going to take their word for it. They're not going to go and do more research. Okay, why did he say? What was his purpose? What was his background? What was the proof that he used to say and this ruling, right? They're just going to believe whatever he said, or whatever this group said. So that is the ayah of the Quran. Another very interesting story in Surah Anbiya is a story of some people that they took up a case to Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam. What happened was there was a shepherd who had some goats, and at nighttime, those goats went to a farmer, to a farm of the farmer, and the goats, they ate the crops of the farmer. They ate it up, and then the farmer, he got pissed, and then he took that goat owner. He took him to Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam. Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam was a prophet, and they told him to make a judgment, to make a decision that, okay, my crops are gone, his goats ate it. Now who's going to be responsible for that? So Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam, what he did was he calculated the price of the goats, and he calculated the price of the crops, and it came out to be almost the equal amount, right? So what Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam said, okay, since your goats ate his crops, give him the goats, and then we're all equal. Because let's say the crops were $100 and his goats costed $100, so you just give him $100 or just give him the goats, and you're good to go. So they thought, okay, this is the decision. But now this case was brought up to Sulaiman alayhi salam, who was the son of Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam, and he was 11 years old at that time. When Hazrat Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam got to know about this story, this case, he was like, okay, I have a better idea that will be beneficial to both of them, because the goat owner, it's not really his fault that his goats just left and ate the crops. He didn't make them go and eat the crops. It's not really his fault. He was also like helpless. What can he do? So he's like, I have a better plan. How about we do this? That since the crops are gone, why not make the goat owner work on the field, work on the farm field? He's going to sow the seeds. He's going to plow the land. He's going to do everything. While the crops grow, the farmer, he's not going to have any crops. What is he going to do? Maybe he makes a living out of it. He eats the crops or he sells the crops. So in the meantime, the farmer is going to get the goats of the goat owner. So you just switch, like you give them temporary, you switch the ownerships temporary to each other. So the person whose goats ate the crops, he's going to work hard and he's going to grow the crops back, because that's what he can do now, right? And since the farmer, he's not going to have any crops in the meantime, the goats are going to be his property for the meantime, and he can take out milk or whatever from there, right? So, and then when the crops grow back, we're going to return their respective possessions back to them, and everybody's happy. So when Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam listened to this decision, he became happy. And the ulama said this obviously everybody was happy with this decision because it seemed like more fair. It was easier for both parties, and it was easier for them. And Sayyidina Dawud Islam was happy, and this is what was implemented after in the society. So as I said, this seemed like a better idea. Sayyidina Dawud also liked it. This was implemented. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَفَهَّمْنَا سُلَيْمَانَ وَكُلًّا آتَيْنَا حُكْمًا وَإِلْمًا, that we gave understanding to Sulaiman. Allah says, we gave understanding to Sulaiman, and we gave judgment and knowledge to each one of them. Meaning both, right? They gave judgment and knowledge, hikmat and ilm, to both of them. The Mufassirun say that this judgment was made through ijtihad and not wahi, because there was no wahi at that time. Wahi to Dawud al-Islam or Sulaiman al-Islam. There was no wahi. These both were doing ijtihad. They both were working by their wisdom, right? So the Mufassirun say that this was not a wahi, this was an ijtihad. So this proves that ijtihad needs to be done in some places, because obviously sometimes this is important, right? As I said, they made a decision through their ijtihad, and we know that ijtihad was ijtihad of Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam was more accurate, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specified him in the ayah. He says, فَفَهَّمْنَا Sulaiman. We gave understanding to who? To Sulaiman. But we gave knowledge and hikmah to both. We gave knowledge and judgment to both of them. And like, people can think that, okay, so Sayyidina Sulaiman Islam was right, that means that his father was wrong, Sayyidina Dawud Islam was wrong, right? This can come up. So the Mufassirun say that this is called khata ijtihadi khata. When you do ijtihad and you don't reach your goal, that is called ijtihadi khata. And this is not gunah, this is not a sin, this is nothing bad, right? A Mujtahid, a person who's doing his research, who's working hard to get to the goal, he gets his credit for that very thing, that okay, he's trying hard, he's trying to reach the goal, he's trying to know what's right and what's not, and he has enough capability to do it. So he will get the sawab, he will get the credit for going towards that way. He's getting the credit to go and do. He's going to get the credit for doing the ijtihad, whether or not he gets to his goal or not. And if he doesn't get to his goal, that's considered khata ijtihadi, and whoever gets to the goal, he's considered more accurate. And also the mufassirun say that when a nabi, whenever he commits a khata ijtihadi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make them stay on it. Allah gives them enough wisdom that they either they take their decision back, they do ruju or something, or they just like retract from their original position. And that's what Sayyidina Dawud alayhi salam did. He said, okay, I agree with Sulaiman's decision, and you can go on and do whatever Sulaiman says. So that is what the thing is, that since this ayah proves that khata ijtihadi is not a sin, and ijtihad is accepted in the court of Allah, and that is the job of a muqallid, to follow whatever his imam says. And as I said, the credit is just to do ijtihad. Since he has knowledge and wisdom, he should try hard and extract the ruling, right? And the thing is, everybody agrees with this, that the haqq, the accurate thing, the goal, the accurate ruling is one in every way, right? And we have four imams, four Mujtahid Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafa'ai, Imam Hanbal, and Imam Ahmad bin Maalik, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal and Imam Maalik, right? So these are the four imams, right? They have differences of opinion, but that's nothing bad. We all say that the haqq is one, the accurate hukum, the accurate ruling is one in all the cases. Some mujtahids will reach it, some mujtahid will not. And that's why every single muqallid should say that our fiqh is right, with the possibility of inaccuracy, and we have differences of opinion with the other fiqhs, and there's a possibility that maybe they're correct, right? So, I mean, there's a possibility that we're wrong, right? So what to do? You don't have to do anything, because nobody knows if who's right and who's wrong. That's near Allah, that's something, that's a knowledge that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. Our job is to follow what our imam said, and the imam's job was to do his ijtihad. He has done his ijtihad. Even if he's wrong, he'll get sawab for it. As there's a hadith in Bukhari Muslim mentioned in Mishkat, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إذا حكم الحاكم فاجتهد وأصاب فله أجران وإذا حكم فاجتهد وأخطأ فله أجر واحد. That whenever a hakim, whenever a wise person or someone in authority, he tries to get to a hukum and he does ijtihad, he tries hard, and he misses his point, right? Still he gets one sawab. And if he gets to his point, he gets two sawab. So even if a mujtahid, an imam, if his job is only to do his research, his job is only to try hard and extract the masail, if he misses his point, if he misses the goal, then still he gets one sawab. And for the people who get to their goal, they get two sawab. So this hadith tells us that the khata ijtihadi is nothing wrong. People have done it before. Our job is to follow our imam, and the imam's job was to do the ijtihad. So I'll end it, and I'll end my talk with that. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask. No question?
I have a question, but it's kind of off topic. But if you guys have any more relevant questions.
Oh, someone's coming, right? So we'll ask the question.
No, it's about this.
So what does that?
So you mentioned something, and you kind of stressed it a lot. It was so you're stating that not everyone can become a master of the knowledge, because everyone has expertise in different knowledges or different branches of knowledge. So this is why I said it's kind of irrelevant. So doesn't that leave the people then kind of blind?
Like the followers of the imam?
Outside of the imam, yeah. Wouldn't the followers kind of be left blinded because they don't know everything?
Yeah, but like the thing is that every time an imam gives you a fatwa or masail, like for example, Imam Abu Hanifa says that when you bleed, that breaks your wudu, that nullifies your wudu, but Imam Shafi'i says no, it doesn't, right? They both have their respective proofs. Like they're gonna give you proofs, right? And then back in the day, they had like debates too. That some Shafi'i people, they have a debate with Hanafi people. They say, okay, no, what about this hadith? What about that hadith? And then both of them have like a discussion, and these discussions are recorded in books, and we have research papers on it. So it's not like you're totally blind. The thing is, like, you're not going to dig deep into the hadith or something that, okay, maybe this hadith is weak, or maybe this hadith is not capable enough that to be taken evidence from. So it's not like you're totally blind. It's just you don't have enough capability. So you know that, okay, Imam is someone who has done his research, and this is his proof, and we're just going to take his proof the way it is. You have one question? You can go ahead.
No, that answers it.
Nope. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Um,
If you're not satisfied, you should keep asking, I guess.
No. Keep on asking.
okay, how do I say it then? So I guess what I'm trying to ask, and these are the type of questions that I ask, they're sometimes pointless.
Amazing.
But I guess what I was trying to ask was that because there are multitudes of people who don't know the deen, who are not masters of the deen, who don't study it like the Mujtahid, and we're talking about masses of people here that are not experts and have that level of expertise in every single thing like fiqh, aqidah, etc. So isn't that the type of person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want? Meaning he appreciates for us to know those things, but we're not.
Yeah, so that's what I mentioned. Like, fiqh aqidah, that is like fard ulum, that is like fard on you to know. Like how to do wudu, that is fard. Like, obviously, how would you do wudu? Like, if you're Hanafi, you should know like how Hanafis do wudu. If you're praying namaz, you should know how to pray. Like, that's fard on you how to know this, right? Not everybody has the ability to go and look in the hadith. Like, I'll make my own method of prayers, right? So, and that's like la yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha, that Allah does not burden a soul more than its capacity. Mass people, yes, fiqh, like normal fiqh, you can study, you can pick up a book and you can study it. You know how to pray namaz. That's basic, right? You can learn aqidah, and even that is a lot on people today. That's so hard. Like, how many people do you see studying aqidah, studying fiqh, usul al-fiqh? There's so many things you need to learn, right? People go for tafsir too a lot. You need to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. And that itself is hard. Now, think about how much harder would it be that you learn all of these things first, then you look in the Quran that, okay, how is this Imam proving this by the saying of Allah Ta'ala? Like, for example, Hanafis say that there are 4 farais in the wudu. There's 4 obligatory things in the wudu, like washing the face, washing the hands, rubbing the head, doing masah, and then washing the feet. These are 4 things, right? Imam Abu Hanifa or Hanafis, they tell you that, okay, we got this from the ayah of Surah Ma'idah, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ. Right? So you get this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, wash your faces, wash your hand up to the elbows, and rub your head and wash your feet. He says this, right? But then Imam Shafa'ai, he says that, okay, since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned these in order, that means that the order is fars on you too. Right? And then before this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, oh people who believe, when you're about to start the salah, then wash your face. That means niyat is fars too. So these are the dalil. Now, to understand both of these, you need that level of intellect, or that level of study, or that level of research.
And not everyone has it.
So you only have what is in your reach, and in your reach you have like the fiqh books. So yes, obviously you have to learn those, but what we're talking about is extracting the masail from the Quran and Hadith. So I don't think anybody in this day, you can start off, okay, I'll take the ayah from Surah Ma'idah, then I'll start analyzing it myself. Because this ayah itself has so many Arabic rules in it. Like, I'll just give you an example. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ, right? So there's a waw in the middle. Wa, that means and. So wash your faces and wash your hands. So Imam Abu Hanifa says the wa, it means jama, like it means accumulation. It does not mean order. Like if you say like John came from that door and Smith came from that door, that does not really mean that John came first and Smith came first. Maybe it was the other way around. If you say John and Smith came from that door, so it doesn't tell you who came first, right? But Imam Shafi'i says no, it does, because if you say John and Smith came first, why do you say John first? Why, if Smith came first, you should have said Smith came first, and Smith and John came first. So you need that level of Arabic knowledge too, and like the usage along with Arabic knowledge, you need the application, you need the knowledge of that, and obviously not everyone has that.
So that's a genius question that you just asked. That.
Yeah, you asked a genius question actually.
Genius question. So it's really awesome.
So yeah, like fiqh books, yeah, aqidah, yeah, you have to know the basics. But as I said, like nobody can, without any fiqh, you can know, okay, I'm gonna look up the Surah Ma'idah and I'll find out what is what. And you can easily you can easily mess up on that, because, I mean, like for Hanafis too, we say that, yeah, order is sunnah and making a niyat is sunnah too. But if you don't do it, your wuzu is still fine. But Shafi'i say no, your wudu is not going to happen if you don't make a niyat, make an intention, and if you don't care about the order. So this is like a debate of the imams, like a high level debate. Like you probably none of us ever heard this before, or none of us even thought about this before. That okay, yeah. So all you need to know, like you read a fiqh book, you say okay, the fiqh says okay, there are 4 sunnahs of wudu, 4 farais of wudu: washing the face, washing the hands, rubbing the head, and washing the feet. And then like as a niyat and order is sunnah, and then more sunnahs as well.
No, I think he has another question.
You have another
No,
question?
that answered.
No, you have another.